While I shoot a lot of Glocks on my channel and for our website, and I carry Glocks, I have a lot of respect for the Smith and Wesson M&P. I've never owned like a full-size M&P, but I've owned a pile of shields. I've owned like the 22 pistols. I've shot a lot of the full-size guns, just never owned them myself. And of course, I've owned various M&P revolvers, so like the original military and police K-frame Model 10. I've owned one of those. And I just really like a lot of the Smith and Wesson designs, but especially the M&P. Like, my editor and I, Dan, we've talked about this, that if we had to leave Glock for whatever reason, we would switch to Smith and Wesson because the aftermarket's good, the guns are reliable, the guns are generally pretty accurate, parts are available. Like, it's just really not a crazy thing for us. I've shot and carried a lot of HK over the years. I've shot and carried SIG over the years, some Walther stuff. I mean, you name it, I've got time on it, but I've also carried a lot of these guns. One of the guns I was always really fond for was the Smith and Wesson Shield. I've owned a Gen 1 and a Gen 2. I've yet to own a Plus, but I recently picked up a Gen 1 Shield from a buddy, and I wanted to do some shooting with it because I still think this gun, while it's, you know, now, what, 12 years old and single stack 9mm, I still think it's a good carry gun because it's still reliable, accurate, durable, great aftermarket. So I'm going to be shooting the Werner 5x5 here today. I'm doing it from concealment using a JM Custom Kydex holster. I'm all out of my nice paper target, so I'm back to using paper plates that have a 5-inch centerpiece. But I just want to shoot a 5x5 with this gun because, again, this is still a gun that if someone, you know, showed up to a class or something to shoot, I mean, unless it was like a, you know, like a class for like giant guns only or something, this is a gun that I still think is a good gun. And again, I've got a Gen 1 gun, so the trigger is the kind of crappier hinge style, the texturing's not as good. But I've shot shields a lot over the years and done pretty well with them, so I'm still fond of them. For shooting this drill, 5 rounds, 5 seconds, 5 yards on a 5-inch target 5 times in a row. Normally we'd shoot from low ready. I'm shooting from concealment because I want to get some more reps in with this holster. The first magazine in the gun has 8 rounds plus one in the chamber, so 9 rounds total. I'm doing that because I only have 4 magazines for the gun. So I'm going to shoot 5, reholster the gun, pull out the magazine, top off the magazine, and then shoot again with that same mag, and then switch to my spare magazines for the next 15 rounds of the drill here. So I think I've talked enough. Let's get the shot timer turned back on, and we'll see how we do. So Gen 1 M&P Shield chambered in 9mm, and I'm shooting 124 grain Blazer brass, which I found to be a pretty close facsimile to the HST 124 grain that I carry. So, starting on beep here. Reholster. 5 good hits. 398. You know, it's funny, I've just shot my 351C, so the 22 Magnum J-frame, and it's funny to go right from revolvers back to semi-automatics, and you're like, oh, there's stuff moving on top of the gun again. So we have 4 rounds in the gun. I'm going to draw the pistol, safely reinsert, safely reholster. This is one of the manual safety models of shields. I'm not using the manual safety because, truth be told, I've always thought that the shield safety was kind of crap. Very positive, but it's very tiny. It's hard to sweep up like a 1911 or a similar gun when you're drawing the pistol, so I don't use it. And again, we've got multiple internal safeties plus the trigger safety, so doing that. Okay, sounds like we've got like a motocross event happening behind me. String of fire number 2. Ditch that magazine. We do have a slide release here, but the Shield slide releases are very notoriously stiff. Part of my practice with a lot of these smaller guns like this, my Glock 42, the LCP Max, the slide releases on those guns are generally very small, so they're hard to hit. But also because of my thumb position, oftentimes I found that the slide release just is not, like, the gun's not locking open. You know, we're having slide override quite a bit. So, second string of fire, all good hits, 352. I'm shooting pretty quick here. I haven't mentioned it, but there's no work done to this gun. So the previous owner swapped the rear back plate for like a monochrome American flag. I've since Sharpied over it. Not that I dislike the country, but I hate gaudy slide plates on guns. I guess the closest I've come to modifying it is that some of my magazines have the Gen 2 gap things, spacer things, which do give a little bit more grip, but it's not anything substantial. So, string of fire number 3. load, reholster. Let me double check. Yep. The magazines are going in quite smoothly. So I'm like, am I actually seating it properly? Hits are still quite good here. 332. I'm going pretty quick here. The factory sights on this gun are like the just white paint 3 dots. I'm not usually a fan of 3 dot, but I've shot these a lot and I've done well with them. Yeah, it's funny. That's that third string of fire there. You can see it on my pinky, it's a little bit more torn up. The aggressive grip texturing on that magazine floor plate actually gave me some pretty good grip there. People will tell you your pinky is not super important for shooting, but it's pretty important for shooting. So, okay, string number 4. Yep, still got good hits there. We're gonna safely reholster the gun. I may have mentioned it, but I'm shooting this from a JMCK Wing Claw 2.5 holster. It's the same ones I have for my Glock 48 and my 43X. It's just generally a good holster. 365 there. Okay, and the final string of fire here. And I've got no more bullets on me, so we're gonna safely reholster the gun. That last string of fire there was 375. And again, looking at our target here, our like 5-inch target, I'm pretty happy with the performance there. The Shield is a gun that if I had any criticisms to levy against it, it's that, and I hate to mention bore axis because it gets CZ fanboys to like crawl out of the woodwork and tell me how their guns are better. This gun's a little bit tall for how small and thin it is. And as such, I find that it's a little bit flippier. It's not bad, right? I mean, I shot pretty well. I was under 4 seconds for every one of those runs here. But it's just interesting to see how, comparing this to like a similar Glock, the Glock will be a little bit flatter. But the trigger didn't make a difference there for my shooting. I didn't find that the trigger was causing me to pull shots. My grouping's pretty good there. I'm within the accuracy standard. And well under time, even considering the draw stroke there. So yeah, I think I'm gonna be doing maybe not a proper review of this gun down the line, but kind of like, you know, making the case for how a lot of these older concealable 9mm guns are still pertinent, right? This isn't like a Smith and Wesson autoloader from the 90s that's like this wide and holds like 7 or 8 rounds. This is a gun that's fairly thin. You know, we've got guns that are thinner now, but very thin, still holds 8 or 9 rounds of 9mm. And I mean, I've carried this gun to the gym, I've carried it hiking so far, and yeah, I've been happy with it. So more small gun content as time goes on. Thanks for watching.